You're listening to Turi Ryder's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marci Persky. Looking for a little help around the internet can show you some things you'd really rather not know. Also, Marci's come up with a new part-time job, and she thinks she can do it one-handed. Hola! I just took my online Spanish class.
Hola.
You want to know what's a really scary thing? It's online adult learning classes. That's what's really scary.
I don't have the concentration to do it or the discipline. I'd be skipping class all the time, hanging out on the deck.
Well, I really have been saying that I would do this for just years and years. So, and if you live in America, it's kind of an obligation to at least make an effort since so many people here now speak Spanish. And I'd like to make an attempt. Plus, it's embarrassing when you go to other countries and everybody speaks 15 languages and you're like, oh, I'm just American.
I really, my other country is Canada, pretty much.
Well,
I've gone to Mexico twice, but everybody spoke English where I was.
Listen, smarty Americano. They also speak two languages in Canada, in case you missed that memo.
Well, I stayed over on the AU side where they pour tomato juice into their moose head.
Ugh.
It's actually really good, but I've never done it outside of when I've been in Canada.
For someone who won't eat any food that's not white, I'm surprised that you would pour tomato juice in your beer. That just strikes me as a thing you would never normally do.
I don't like beer, and it makes me like beer. It tastes good. Try it sometime.
No, I don't like beer, and it will not make me like beer. But
I want to hear you say, where is the bathroom?
They actually have a donde es portion, but this is only my second week. And if I say the wrong thing, like baño, I don't want to end up in a bathtub. If you're not careful, you end up with bathtub instead of toilet. Yeah.
Well, aren't bathtubs generally in bathrooms?
Not in the clubs I go to. Where you go to the bars, but if you ask for a bathtub in a bar room, they'll send you to the hotel down the street.
And you can go pee in the bathtub.
Pee in the bath. I know a lot of people do. So
I know boys pee in the shower.
I got news for you. Girls pee in the shower too.
I would never do that.
Of course not, but they do.
No,
people do.
I'm very proper.
I'm glad to know that in this one area, this one particular area, so I'm doing a lot of stuff online, and we're getting ready to travel to California, where we used to live, to be landlords of our tiny little apartments, which is our excuse for going there in the wintertime. But there's work that needs to be done, and you have to hire people to do the work. And some of it we do ourselves. But this leads me to I don't know where you would file this, but the internet has helped me know way too much. Way too much. It started years ago when I discovered that a friend of mine's spouse had been arrested in a sting operation for the back pages activity. And then that was a thing I didn't really need to know. And then the next thing was when we came back and we were looking for a medical provider. And I was trying to find the number of my former provider and discovered that the person had surrendered their license to prescribe class whatever medication. And I knew the reason for that, actually. I did know, or at least I thought I knew. This person was one of the early people to see patients who had HIV. And my guess was that someone had come to him in pain and he had been willing to help. I called him up and asked him, I said, what the heck is this with your license being pulled for prescribing? And he said, it was similar,
what did
actually.
He say?
He said somebody, it was something similar, but he had turned himself in. He had said, I did this. And they said, we're going to pull your license to prescribe these pills. And he said, fine, no problem. I don't really need to prescribe them anyway. So that was that. But just this week, we're looking for people to do work on the place. And there's someone who did work for us in the past. So I called him. But before I called him, I wasn't sure I had the right number. So I looked up his business, and that's when I find out that this summer he got socked with a massive fine for safety violations. And I thought, oh
Oh
no,
no.
I don't want to know this
Well,
stuff.
but is it just kind of like not wearing a helmet kind of stuff?
No. The fine came in at over $30,000. And that in
Holy
California,
crap.
that's a big whopping fine. And it's not exactly like there are tons of enforcers. So my thought was somebody was disgruntled or really annoyed because when he worked with us, he ran a tight job site. But heck, time goes
That's
by,
a
your
huge fine.
company grows, and yeah. But I don't think I will be using him. I and at the
Wow.
same time that
That's
I'm reading this, I'm listening to somebody talking on the radio about giving people second chances after they're convicted of felonies, and I'm thinking I'm not even willing to give my builder a second chance after he's convicted of an unsafe operation. I'm not so sure I
What
would
you mean
do that.
you wouldn't hire felon painters? Isn't that
Oh,
would be the name of my company, Felon Painters,
only
even
for
though I don't have any felonies.
I would hire them only for exterior work.
Parolee painters, how's that? Or
Well,
painters on parole.
don't joke. There were these people who were just hired in Chicago. There was a fire, a smoking related fire in a building, and people were hired to do smoke remediation immediately so people could get back and water from the sprinkler. They went into somebody's apartment who hadn't even been affected by the fire and swiped $19,000 worth of gold and jewel.
Holy
I
cow.
know, gold and cash gone.
Holy cow.
The
Yeah.
tenants, as it happens, had a security camera, which these goons didn't notice, and the guys were arrested 24 hours later.
Did they kick in the door? I want to know how they got in first.
That's a good question because if it was an apartment that wasn't affected by the smoke, I was wondering that.
Like, would you hand a master key to a criminal?
No. I loved this line from our former president Reagan. This was the line that I think you get something from everybody. And trust but verify, I think, is a good line
There
to
you
employ
go.
here. Yes.
It's also, if your mother says she loves you, check it out.
Yes,
know,
that's a
that kind of
journalist.
thing.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a good one too. If your mother says she loves you, check it out. Yeah, I like
So
that one.
I have a really good friend in Flagstaff who 3 days a week she cleans Airbnbs,
Hmm.
not like little houses, like big fancy mansions.
Hmm.
And her assistant today didn't show up. So I drove to Flagstaff and helped her because the people were checking in tonight.
You're not supposed to be working with your
I'm
wrist.
going to tell you what I did.
Okay.
I pushed around a vacuum with my left hand, which was really easy.
Okay.
We made all the beds together, and then I put towels in the bathrooms. So that's my new job.
What?
I'm gonna clean Airbnbs 3 days a week and make a whole buttload of money so that I can go to Mexico and not speak Spanish.
I have trouble believing that this is a thing that you're good. I mean, pardon
Dude,
me
these are
saying,
mansions.
no, yeah, no, but
My friend did like all that heavy working. She like scrubbed and did floors and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know. I'm
I just did left
skeptical.
hand
I
stuff.
am skeptical that you're going to
No,
be able to do this with your left hand. I just don't think that this is going
I
to,
can push a vacuum with my left hand.
only if it has a steering wheel on it.
Well, it was actually a pretty cool vacuum. It belongs to the house. And it did all kinds of things that my fancy vacuum doesn't do. And
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
what the heck?
No, 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 no more vacuums for you. You've got what, a whole corral of them somewhere.
Well, most of them are broken. So, yeah.
Why does it seem like there's a late night Amazon buying spree in your future?
And today, this was the first time that we left New Dog alone in the house.
How did new dog do alone in the house?
Well, she didn't do anything bad, but I think she was traumatized. Like,
No.
yeah, she wouldn't eat dinner. I was just gonna like go run an errand this morning and come home, and then my friend called me, and then I never came home.
Or you may find a nice surprise somewhere that you weren't expecting it, and then you'll have to then you'll have to hire your friend to come and scrub, clean while you run the vacuum around with your left
We
hand.
have tile floors. No, Frankie looked all over.
Oh, you made
And
your husband go look for dog residue around your house? Nice. That's good.
well, he got home before me.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
If I were Frankie and that dog had had a big old accident on the tile, but that dog were not chewing up my slippers, I would just lie and say, oh, everything was fine. There was no problem.
Yeah, he loves her. And this house is so quiet. So speaking of the new dog, I'm learning all these things that are like so weird. That just has to do with this breed of dog.
Uh-huh.
She's an English bulldog. And you have to put this stuff on their nose called nose butter. And it's like chapstick. And she really, really hates it. So I put it on her and then I read the instructions, of course.
What'd you do? Put like 10 times the dose or something?
No, it was just like, you know, when you have a chapstick in your pocket and it gets soft?
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to do that with this nose butter. You can't just like
Slap it on
ram
there.
it on. And plus, she's like big and round and really hard to hold on to. And then the other thing that you have to do is they make special baby wipes that you
No.
use.
No. Are you
not for her
wiping
butt.
your dog's butt? No.
No, it's for the crinkles in her face
Oh, God.
because they have, you know, like giant
Hey,
jowls and
what
stuff.
a dog. Oh,
But
God.
no, I would not wipe her butt.
I saw a lady wiping her poodle's butt the other day. I did.
I would say teach your poodle to wipe herself.
I have no response to any of this. I
But,
know once you have a dog, you're just sort of in it.
Unfortunately.
Well, I will leave you to figure out how to talk to your dog in some other language.
I can say hola.
Yeah.
And
I-
I can say cerveza fría. That's from living in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. Say that again just so we all can learn it. Cerveza.
Cerveza fría.
Very good. I say
Okay.
adios.
Okay, adios.
I. Assuming you've come this far because you enjoy the podcast, may we recommend my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air. It's available at your neighborhood bookstore or on Amazon. And if you're feeling especially generous, please leave the podcast a good review. Thanks.